Hello and welcome back to Politically Incorrect. I'm Tom Christiano. Well, tonight we have a truly outstanding panel of state leaders to talk about what's going on not only in Chelmsford but throughout the state of Massachusetts. So with me tonight we have State Representative Tom Golden. How are you, Tom?
Tom, how's everything going?
Great, thanks. This is, it's your 18th time on the show already.
The veteran here.
Yeah.
Wildly veteran here, 18
He's
years.
not even 18 years old.
Yeah. You don't even look 18.
I think,
but
I think this suit's probably over the 18 years old, But thank you very much for inviting me back again.
Yeah. How many years has it been that you've been one of our representatives?
My 10th term. Well, actually, here in Chelmsford, 5 terms. We've been 12 years altogether, right? 12 years.
So say 12 years, 18 times in 12 years, that's fantastic. Yep. And that doesn't include the Political Junkies show and other shows that I've done. So thanks a lot, Tom, for being here. We'll talk more about your committees and all that in a minute. But first, I just thought I'd quickly introduce everybody. My good friend, Cory Atkins, is with us. How are you, Cory?
Tom. How are you?
Good, good.
I'm great.
This is your lucky 13th time on the show.
13.
There you go.
So hopefully it'll be a lucky one.
I'm only 14 years old. So
yeah. So we have fun all the time, right,
yeah,
Cory?
we do. We do.
And we also have my friend, State Senator Mike Barrett, with us. How are you, Mike?
The junior member.
The junior. Well, the 4th time on the show. But was it just this past November that you got elected?
It was.
Back to the Senate. So you were there before. You came back. And we'll talk all about that in a minute. But yeah, congratulations.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming back. And I see you at so many of our events, Mike. It's so amazing here in Chelmsford.
Chelmsford's a great town.
It is.
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. Well, thanks. Well, I thought maybe we could quickly talk about the committees that you might be on or the chairpersons of at the State House.
Yes.
Tom?
I'm very, very happy. One of my favorite committees right now is I'm the vice chair of bonding. So what we do right now with any of the bond authorizations that come through the House, we have the opportunity to look at them and send them over to Ways and Means after that. I'm also on the Committee on Energy, and energy is something that I've been on it now for the past going on 6 years.
Wow.
And it's been a wonderful, absolutely wonderful committee. And then the last one is post-audit and oversight. And we have some interesting things that go on in post-audit and oversight. Yeah,
and how many years have you been a state rep now, Tom?
My 10th term.
10th term. So you're entering your 19th or 20th year.
Correct. Yep.
Wow. Because you started at 23, right?
That's correct, yep.
Remember, I always ask you, you started so young, when are you going to run for governor?
I can't wait. Every time I tell you, I mean, honestly, Tom, do you like me?
Yeah.
I mean, because running for governor has got to be a lot of pressure. So.
Tough, but hopefully we'll talk about the governor's race later in the show if we have a few minutes. You guys may know who's running. I know Steve Grossman is running, but we could talk a little. But someday you might want to think about it,
I love
Tom,
the retail. Honestly, as of today, with a young family, I love the retail side of politics.
Great, great.
And it's something that we get an opportunity to go to different meetings. I know the senator gets an opportunity to go to these different meetings. When you kind of move up that ladder and you start representing 6 million people, sometimes I just kind of wonder if you can really go to, local homegrown meetings, and that's something I still enjoy very much.
I know what you mean, Tom. You're doing a great job, too, as you all are. And, it's just an amazing group that we have tonight. I mean, you're all working so hard. I see you often in Chelmsford with our community and also in the other communities that you represent. So
I'm getting ready for the 4th of July. 4th of July parade's coming up.
Yes,
and I'm making the announcement again that I will be sitting there with my kids. Everyone's always like, are you going to march? I'm like, I enjoy watching the parade, actually, to be honest with you.
That's smart.
I enjoy it. And all the politicians are walking by, and it's normally a beautiful day, and everyone's
and we're hot.
Everyone's sweating, and I'm sitting there waving.
That's what I want to do. I want to sit and watch it. I'm not supposed to be in the sun.
I sit right
So,
there with my
girls,
and I have a ball. I enjoy it. I think I enjoy it a little bit more than everybody else.
Look for me. Give me a nice word. I might be, as a library trustee, marching the parade this year.
I'll give you a shout out.
But Cory, are you going to be marching in the parade?
Well, I'd rather sit in the shade and watch.
But
no,
you are
seriously,
marching?
because I'm not supposed to be in the sun that long, and it's always right at the wrong time of day. And you have that. It's 3 miles, and and if I wear a hat, nobody knows who I am. So it's.
So what are you going to do? Do you know?
Well, I might sit next
sit
to
with
Tom.
Tom,
And
I might march in the parade. You can watch the kids.
Yes. I'm always watching the kids. I'm the grandmother now, so I spend a lot of time watching the kids.
Oh, yeah, congratulations, by the way.
Yeah,
your grandmother.
I have a new one. Yeah, my daughter has
Nice, wow. Your second?
This is my third.
Third grandchild. Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I know all the new things you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I forgot them already. I don't know what you're supposed to do anymore.
And Cory, by the way, what committees do you chair, or are you
I
on?
chair tourism, arts, and cultural development.
Nice.
So I'm not on any other committees because
Yeah.
that's sort
'Cause
of a
you're
full-time
chairing that.
endeavor. Yep.
That's
And I just
wonderful.
love it. It's like eating ice cream all day.
So you're very
And-
familiar with our Chelmsford
Yes.
Center for the Arts in Chelmsford.
Yeah, and I've had different meetings around the Commonwealth. Was able to get a lot more money in the budget for different groups, and so
Great. Wonderful.
I'm
Well,
really
she's
happy.
being very modest. A lot more money. She did an unbelievable job.
Wow,
with
I
the
could
regional,
imagine.
with the regional
Who could
trade.
refuse Cory anything, right?
The Regional Convention and Visitors Bureau. She did a very, very good job.
Wow, nice. Oh,
So
well,
it's
that's
up to Mike
wonderful.
to make sure the Senate gets it through now.
Now the pressure's on the new
All
guy.
on him. Even though it's not his committee, it's going to be his.
Yeah, get it through, Mike, the Senate.
Well, actually, I want to echo Tom's comment. Cory did a great job. The arts really made out well
Wonderful.
And
Yeah.
in the House
tourism.
budget. I am keeping
Especially
my
after
fingers crossed, yeah.
after the marathon bombings.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
She
wonderful.
did a good job.
Oh, good, good. And Mike, by the way, are you going to be marching in the parade on the 4th
I
of July?
am, because unlike those two, nobody knows who I am.
So which
I
parade are
I'm
you
going
going
to
to
be schlepping along the entire route proudly
Of Chelmsford's parade?
in Chelmsford,
right.
4th
Done it
of
a
July.
I've seen you there that
Absolutely,
day.
Yes, and you've done it
absolutely.
for a decade. You can sit with us. We can call ourselves
We
the
figure we-
decade
yeah, we-
group.
Now I'm
Yeah.
going to be with the town
right,
elected
decade.
officials. So
Oh, you are? Oh, great.
isn't that's an option that one gets
You
to
have an option,
pretend
but you
to be
could
a
have your own
selectman,
group,
so-
like Jim Arcero usually marches
Well,
with
that will
about
cost
50
me.
supporters.
That will cost me $500.
Oh, really?
And I think next year I'll probably do that. But in
Oh,
In an
okay, yeah.
election.
odd-numbered years, I may just walk with the elected
Oh,
officials.
that'd be
and-
great. Yeah, Mike.
Board of Selectmen and
You'll get a Dunning notice
School
when you
committee
get
notice,
home
yeah.
for next year.
Oh,
Exactly.
the library trustees, you could walk with us. Yeah.
you go.
Well, now that's
No,
appealing to me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, please.
Can I read?
Sure. And, but people may or may not know, but you were in the Senate previously. You
I
also were in the
was.
State House for many years. How many years of experience do you have in the State House?
Well, 6 in the House of Representatives and
Yeah.
8 in the State Senate before
so
this
that's
time.
what, 14?
But that was ages ago. For 20 years, I've been in the private sector,
Wow. In the medical
in what we used to
and
call the
high-tech?
dreaded private
dreaded
sector.
private sector.
Oh, no, it's great, though, right?
But
The
it's
private
great.
sector.
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. But I'm now back in the Senate, thanks to the folks of Chelmsford and their neighbors, and I'm chairing the Committee on Children, Families, and Persons with Disability.
Oh, nice. Wonderful.
Senate chair. It's a joint committee. And I'm vice chair of Labor and Workforce Development. So
Wonderful.
one worries about jobs too.
Yes. What is our unemployment now in Massachusetts?
It's
the
doing,
rate?
I'm not going to cite the rate because I would probably get it wrong, but as you know, it's almost 2% below the national rate.
Yes, yeah.
So it continues
Yeah,
to be encouraging. It is not blipped up.
yes,
You have to give the governor some credit.
yes. And hopefully later on the show
You have to
we'll
give
talk
most of
about-
it to us,
Yes, right, right.
but a little bit to the
But
governor.
hopefully
And
later.
tourism and
And tourism, yes, yeah. We'll talk
jobs on
about-
Main Street.
But maybe we'll talk about the governor and the governor's race later on in the show.
Yes.
But maybe quickly we could start with Tom again
Sure.
and talk about some
Why am
bills.
I
Oh,
getting-
if we
why-
must.
Senator, why am I getting picked on?
Yes.
Start with the senator. I mean,
Ask him
I
about
don't even-
$4.95. Those bathrooms on
Yeah,
$4.95.
right.
I'm very concerned
Oh, I
about
will.
that.
I will
Please.
be asking about the
I just want to pick on the
The
senator.
bathrooms
I
are
mean,
$4.95. But Tom, I thought any bills that you were sponsoring or co-sponsoring that you'd like to mention tonight?
What we have going on, what I've been doing a lot of is substance abuse. And I'm very happy to say that one of the pieces that we've just put through is finally open out of the Tewksbury State Hospital. We were finally very, very happy. We've been spending a lot of time on this on the Detox Center. The Detox Center actually closed probably 2.5 years ago. I'm going to even think 3 years ago right now.
Why? Budgetary?
Funding. It was a funding issue.
It's
So
2 years ago, 210.
Yeah.
so it was in that December time frame, and we were lucky enough to put some money through. It's the first time, I think, in my legislative career I had funds that were available, and they still closed the doors anyhow. But I have to say, Michael Botticelli, who was formerly there, now he has gone. He has moved from substance abuse, director of substance abuse for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. They really made it. They dedicated that revenue to ensure that we would be able to open one up back in this area of the Northeast, the Northeast sector. So I'm very happy.
That's important.
3 weeks ago we had a little bit of a ribbon cutting, if you would.
Yeah.
It's kind of bittersweet when you really start to talk about opening something like a detox center.
Yeah.
But you know something? People need to realize it's hitting everybody.
Everybody,
There
yes,
is no socioeconomics. You know, you're not you're not bound from having this problem.
Oh, yes, that's for sure.
And we're happy to have it back open. So that's one of the biggest things that I've done as of late, which I'm very happy about.
Yeah, wonderful. Thanks, Tom. Maybe we'll go to Mike next and ask any bills that you're sponsoring or co-sponsoring at the moment?
Well, Tom, this, as a matter of fact, today or tomorrow, I guess, we begin debate on the state budget. The Senate lags the House by 2 or 3 weeks. So we're taking up the whole gamut of issues. I'm fundamentally a human services chair, and my focus in the state Senate has been in human services and in environmental affairs. Those are 2 questions that I'm concerned about this year.
Wonderful.
So I'll be offering amendments in both areas.
Great, thanks, Michael. And Cory, any bills that you're sponsoring or co-sponsoring?
Well, not as interesting as one that's before my committee, and that's to establish a commission to study the possibility of having the Summer Olympics here in Boston and surrounding areas for 2024, the summer of 2024.
Yeah, we have to plan way ahead. So that's been
filed by Eileen Donahue, Senator
Eileen
Donahue.
She's been big honchoing that,
Yeah,
right?
she has been.
That's
and
wonderful.
She was before my committee, and she brought a lot of people with her. And, you know, actually, it's a very exciting proposal.
Yeah.
And it won't cost us a dime, us being the state and taxpayers.
How come it won't cost us anything?
Well, because the application.
the application.
The application's $10 million.
$10 million?
Yeah, they've got the money from private donors.
Really?
Yeah.
To come up with $10 million?
$10 million.
What
I
is
offered
that
to
10
write a
million for the
check, but
application?
you know,
I
it's
think
just
that's ridiculous, isn't it?
Well,
Could you imagine? Oh, you could apply to my college or whatever, but $10 million.
well,
This is a bigger than college.
it keeps those who are not serious out of
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it is a barrier to entry, and
You put a
if you're not serious, you won't.
don't go there. Yeah.
Oh, well, that'd be something if it comes here to
Right.
Boston.
Well, it comes to Boston, it would be a 200-mile radius around
Yeah,
Boston.
so we have things
So
in
with the
Lowell
stadiums
and-
that we have with Lowell, you know, with the Merrimack, with
yeah.
the places we have for regattas, you know,
Cambridge,
everything.
yes, yeah.
There's a lot of opportunities
Oh,
here.
wonderful! Wow.
And so that could be pretty exciting.
Well, that'd be exciting.
You have to
Yeah.
think
Well,
big.
yeah.
I mean, you know, some people have kind of laughed it off and said, "Oh, that'll never happen." But why not?
Yeah,
Why not
it's
here?
never been here. I don't think in this
No, it hasn't.
area. Yeah.
Now, we've had that checkup on the state income tax for ages. Is there actually, there must be some money in that account, by the way. There's been an Olympics planning
Well, I don't
checkup
know.
on the
Good thing
state
to
budget
ask.
for
We'll check it out.
years,
I'll
yeah.
call DOR and
wow.
see how much dough
Might
there.
find a little. I know. In the past, I've given my dollar
Uh-huh.
to that
Oh.
purpose.
Well, for the next topic, maybe we could start with Mike for something different instead of Tom all the time, which is the state budget, which you mentioned earlier. So how are things going with that now, and where exactly are we with the state budget?
The House has passed its version, very strong in areas like early childhood education. The Senate now takes up the dynamics, the chemistry of passing state budgets is Byzantine. It's not really easy to understand even when you're a legislator. And part of it is just time-honored bargaining between the 2 branches. So classically what happens is the governor will come in very early in January and strike certain themes, transportation and education among them this year. The House begs to differ and accents things that are important to that branch. The Senate always comes in with a slightly different set of priorities, equally defensible, because we're not talking about foreign aid here. We're not talking about the Air Force. This is all domestic spending priorities that all of us in principle would likely support. Nevertheless, the House and the Senate always manage to choose different areas of emphasis. And then a conference committee dukes it out. So it's, even from my point of view as an elected state senator with very concerned about certain issues, I couldn't tell you what's going to make out relatively well at the very end. And my constituents are frustrated that I can't be a little more predictive.
Yeah.
But it's very hard.
But has it gone through the Senate, did you say?
So
yet?
no, tomorrow.
Not yet, tomorrow.
Tomorrow we will begin the first of 2 or 3 marathon days of debate. Now I can tell you that we've done very well ourselves by certain early childhood accounts. So I'm hoping that child care does well. But on the other hand, at the moment, I'm worried about higher ed, state higher ed. I think you guys, the House did pretty well.
Right.
But that's an area where floor amendments in the Senate are going to have to bring us up to the House levels.
Yeah.
So the Senate will do well by certain accounts, the House typically by others, and then it becomes a very fluid and mysterious dynamic by which the final results produce.
Yeah, that none of us get to watch.
You have the conference committee?
Conference
Yeah,
committee.
the conference committee.
So
We
that'll
don't-
go on after the
Right.
Senate,
Correct.
Right.
maybe next week or the week after?
Well, it takes them longer than
Takes
a
them-
week.
yeah.
By
Okay,
July
but
1st,
we
and we
have
will
to
make
have a
that
budget.
July,
deadline.
so about another month
they usually
after
spend
that.
June hammering it
Yeah,
out.
June, yeah.
And then the Senate did much better, by the way, on things on the figures that they put out before they negotiate, is on special ed. So you
Yes,
know,
we did.
those of us in the House say, hope that number.
Yeah.
I hope that number prevails.
Yeah, I see, yeah.
Because that would be better for our schools.
The so-called circuit breaker. And we, in general, of course, we have the advantage of coming in later, so we see some additional months of revenue collection. We realize that things are blipping back up. Not that we're going to have a windfall, but we're going to come in closer to where we thought we were than in the troubling earlier months. So we're able to fund some local aid accounts, which are useful to towns.
Wonderful. Tom, is that?
No, that's absolutely correct, and I think Mike is completely correct with, you know, we're doing things in higher education, just to pick two. They're doing things in special ed.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a trade-off at some point when the conference committee comes in,
Yes.
and we'll go up, they'll come down, they'll go up, we'll come down, because at the end of the day, we have to come out with a balanced budget.
Yes.
There's just no, you know,
Yeah,
there is
that's
only so much money to be
mandated,
had.
right? You have to
Right,
balance.
There's no question. Constitutionally, we have to have a balanced budget. And sometimes there's a real, some folks don't think it's balanced, but we can tell you from years past when the governor exercises a 9C cut, and the town of Chelmsford and so many other cities and towns have felt that cut, that it is a balanced budget between the House and the Senate. And I
Yes,
think it will be done by July 1. We've no reason to believe that it will not be.
That's right.
Yes.
But,
And we take pride in two things. For all the trouble you read about on the federal level, here at the state level, in truth, to Tom's point, we do balance the budget, which is why these annoying cuts can sometimes occur late in a fiscal cycle. And secondly, we typically these days do it on time.
That's right.
There are no
I think we've
continuing
done it on
resolutions.
time since,
I would probably say the last 10 years.
for the last
Right.
decade.
I think
I
as
would
soon
say
as you
so.
got rid of me from the state Senate
That's
last time,
So
things
if it's
started
not on
to
time
move.
this time, we know.
We know who to blame. I don't think it was Mike.
No.
But
It had something to do with the Senate president
and the House Speaker.
at the time.
Oh,
at the time.
Yeah, went through a lot of speakers. Now, we've
Yeah.
had the current one for a while, though.
Yeah.
Who's doing good.
Doing a great job.
Is it
Yeah.
DeLeo still?
Yes.
Bob DeLeo, yeah.
And he's still doing a good
Yeah.
job?
Yes,
And
he is.
In fact, gambling, are we going to bring gambling in? I guess they're talking about it, right?
You didn't hear about the casino for Chelmsford?
No.
You missed
No,
that?
I missed that one, yeah.
How about the,
Steve
the
Wynn's
slots?
coming in?
The slots and
Yeah, in the old town hall. What
right.
slots?
That's great. That's a great.
It's going to go towards tourism.
Yeah, but DeLeo, he was the one, he wants it at Suffolk or something, right? Or
We don't know where it's.
Suffolk
I mean,
Downs or-
they're still in the
he,
process.
I'm sure he would. For old time's sake, for his own,
Yeah,
his own constituents, and he'd like it there, and it's a good spot. But
Yeah.
fortunately, none of us have anything to do with that.
That's right.
Oh, really?
Nobody in the legislature.
There's an
can
independent
influence
citing
the issue.
exercise.
Yeah.
It's not a political
Oh,
process.
why not? Where is it now? Is it a certain commission or
It's-
something?
yeah.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
should say, if it is a political process, it does not involve
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's
Right.
Right.
But anyway, if that comes in a few years, it might bring in a few $100 million
some
a
of them
year or
are,
something.
applications
Supposedly, I don't know, but
are starting to come in. Yeah, and we
Yeah.
would get more in tourism because
More.
there's a tourism
right.
That's
account
right.
in
Oh,
that
that's
will
true.
get
In fact, that would
more
affect you and
for,
your
for- yeah,
committee,
absolutely, and we will get
Cory
more
is going to
for,
be a czar by
yeah,
the
I'm
time
gonna-
yeah,
we're
the
done.
czar of the
Yes.
Tourism.
of the
Czarina,
tourism. And
Czarina.
in fact, in those casinos, they have great shows sometimes at the Foxwoods
yeah.
and
Not to
everything.
mention.
And
Yeah.
well, the other thing that there's going to be more money for is gambling addiction. Because
Yes,
that's
yeah.
part of the
Yeah,
legislation
it's a big
too.
problem.
And there'll be more money for the building trades because they haven't had a project since the big dig.
Yeah,
So that's why once they get building,
yeah.
it'll help our unemployment numbers go down and our revenues go up.
Did I read, this big magnate, casino magnate, Steve Wynn, right? Wants to build something, $1 billion casino, whatever, in Everett? Did I read that correctly?
Right.
Yes.
He has an urban proposal.
I'm surprised. I mean,
Yeah,
that
I was
he wants to
thinking-
move from Vegas and put that huge,
And
all that
Everett.
money into.
How do you get to Everett from here?
I don't know.
But
But
I know.
they don't do it for free. They're making money. There's no
Oh,
question
he's going to
about
make.
that.
He makes so
Yeah.
much in gambling. I
Right.
guess that's why he could do it. I think.
Sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, not to get off on the gambling tangent, but and it might bring in additional revenues eventually, and it might help us with Chapter 70 in Chelmsford, right, and other towns. By the way, this show will go out throughout the state, right, because we'll get it on the internet. So we're not just talking about Chelmsford here today, but I'll send it to the Concord patch and the Lexington patch.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great.
And the Lowell patch, but no.
Lowell
I don't-
Sun?
Yeah, the Lowell Sun.
was
Well,
gonna
you
say,
guys
does
should
Lowell
have a
have a patch?
patch.
No, no.
I wish you could, you had a patch like the
I
rest
think it's.
of us.
I think. Yeah. I just think it's
But
because it's the
just-
sun.
But you have the Sun, right?
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, they have
But
a
anyway.
daily newspaper.
Yeah,
Right.
right. It does a good job.
Yeah.
So, well, Chapter 70, how are we doing with that now, in terms of Chelmsford anyway? Anything new with that? Or?
Well, Chelmsford has a problem that that I'm just becoming aware of, is that your population's decreasing.
Correct.
Or
so you're-
stable, yeah,
yeah.
or
Stabilizing
stable.
at
whatever,
Well,
yeah.
5,000,
What
5,100.
about
off the top.
33,900 for,
No,
For
5,100
kids.
students.
oh, the students,
take,
oh, yeah, that,
you know,
that
give and
maybe.
take.
Yeah. So
So
your
a
numbers
little
come
bit, yeah.
down a little bit, or they
Yeah.
stabilize. Because I did a forum on the governor's tax proposal,
Yeah.
you know, on as
Yes,
education,
yeah.
transportation. And of course, the governor gave us a printout of how it would be in our district. And in that printout, Concord got more money than Chelmsford, and they went, what?
Yeah.
And we went, what? You know, I mean, we had to go figure out, and that
And we
was
had to
because
do with the student
population.
population.
Yeah.
So,
The student population over the past 10 years, it's been pretty stagnant between, say, call it 5,000 and 5,500.
yes.
And, you know, depending on the number, I mean, it's always fluctuated in that range.
Yeah, the other towns
Yes.
are going up, though.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's what still some of the problems are, is you have a lot of, you know, booming going on in other areas, or
Yes.
has gone on in years past,
Yeah.
where the increase of population has been in other towns.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'm sure you'll do the best you can to get
We
us
do.
as much money as you can throughout your districts, right?
absolutely.
It is a big focus, and the economy is slowly coming back. So
Yes, yeah.
we're guardedly keeping
Keeping
our
our
fingers
fingers
crossed.
And the
think
real
Chap-
estate's coming back.
Chapter 70 is one of the accounts I think that's always been taken very serious.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Local
always
aid
seen an
chapters,
increase.
right, you know, those are the two.
Yeah.
The city and town local aid side has been a little bit difficult. That's even taken a little bit of a hit compared to Chapter 70. Chapter 70 just doesn't seem we need to get more money into it. But I think from local aid perspective, I think from all of us, you know, ourselves, David and Jimmy, you know, what we just did with Chapter 90.
Yeah, 300
Chapter 90,
million.
$300 million, and I think the
What does
town
that go towards?
roads and bridges.
Roads.
That's-
In town.
and as
That's
Cor-
yours. That's
Yeah.
that's Chelmsford's, you know, that's the cities and towns' money to spend as they wish on their own roads.
Correct.
300 million.
Yeah.
No, well, yeah, that's correct. And Chelmsford's going to go up by about, I believe it's about $600,000.
That's fantastic for the next fiscal year.
Right.
You think,
Correct.
Right. That's wonderful.
So, I mean, that's a lot of money. And I mean,
Yeah.
we take, I think, a lot of pride in trying to bring home additional funds like that,
Yeah.
even in times where, quite frankly, as Mike had alluded to earlier, things are still, you know, they're getting better.
Yeah.
But there's a big discussion between the Senate President, the Speaker, and the Governor to keep the rainy day account above $1 billion.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a real strong discussion because obviously Wall Street likes to see that, not when we start to borrow.
Costs
I
us
like to
less.
see it too.
And,
I
you-
like
and,
to
and
see
it is
it too.
we just took a look at the numbers today,
Yeah.
and it won't surprise you to know that some states have really depleted their rainy day funds over
Sure.
the last 5 years.
They're
Not
nuts.
Massachusetts.
Yeah.
I think
We
we're-
actually
That's 'cause
spend
we-
less than we
yeah.
take in. We're running a positive balance. It's good to see, and
Yes.
that's why we're able to come back, and to Cory's point, we're able to come back and give some special ed relief.
Yes.
We hope to Chelmsford.
Yeah.
And if those numbers hold, things are going to blip up a little bit, and look a little better.
Yes.
Plus, it
wonderful.
costs us, everybody, so much less to borrow money if we have that $1 billion. And we've had to use that, you know.
Oh,
we-
yeah. We
It's
have
nice
used it,
to
there's no
know
doubt.
when we've had to our backs against the
Yeah,
wall.
I
that
think
it-
it's important.
Yeah.
It's like your family budget, having some money in the bank for
Mm-hmm.
rainy days or emergencies or whatever. It's always a prudent thing to do.
But the interesting thing is, I believe it was 97, and I would have to check on this, but it was 97 or 98 that was actually implemented. We didn't always have a rainy day account.
No?
Well,
No.
maybe it was, well,
Was
I
it a little bit
remember
earlier?
voting on it when I first came in '99. What I couldn't believe is when I first got to the legislature is having to override Republican governors on putting money into the rainy day account.
Wow.
They didn't want to do it.
Could you imagine?
And can you
that? Yeah.
imagine going through post 9/11 without money in your rainy day? We would have been ruined.
Yeah.
I do remember that argument. We should give it back.
Yeah, we should
and
give it.
people are saying we should put it into a rainy day account.
No. I mean, the economy goes like this,
Yes,
you know.
it does,
And
yeah.
when in 2000 we saw the best economy in the human race, literally.
Oh God, yeah. No,
Oh, yeah, it was
absolutely.
fantastic.
It was the hottest thing we'd ever
Yes,
and everybody believed that it would last forever.
Forever.
I know, yes.
Who didn't want to
Which was a
believe
mistake,
that?
yeah.
A few of us were over 30 and knew better. You know?
Yeah. But I didn't ask you, Cory. You came into the State House in 1999?
I did.
So it's about 14 years
Yeah,
now.
it
You've been-
is.
So
They
time
went by
flies,
like that.
Huh? Yeah, isn't it great, though?
I don't think I look
You-
14 years older, though.
You
do
don't,
No,
honestly.
not a day.
Honestly, you don't. But you
I'm the
still-
only one
you
with my
still
hair's
like it?
changing color. I don't know what's going on here. No one else seems to be happy.
Well,
with
mine
everybody
seems
else.
to be disappearing, but that's another matter, though.
And I'm not doing that
Partially
well.
with my shaving it, but
Yeah.
but 14 years though, and you still like it, Cory, right?
Yeah,
In
actually,
fact,
I
remember all
do.
the debates I hosted with you and
Yeah,
your opponents?
right.
Every 2 years you'd have an opponent. We
Right.
had the most exciting debates with Cory Atkins and whoever your opponent was. I've enjoyed those so much. It was great.
Yeah, they've been fun.
But
They've
so
been
the
fun.
next will be 2014 will be the next election year,
Yeah,
right?
next
Well, you
year.
may man. Tom very often doesn't have an opponent. Sometimes you do.
Sometimes you do.
And Mike had a slew of opponents this year.
Yes.
There
Everyone
were
ran.
5 in the state
Everybody ran
in
for
the
the Senate.
Democratic primary. We had a nice debate on the
Right.
show. In fact, I just got a compliment. You know the guy from Concord, the head of the Democratic Town Committee, Matt Boger, or something
Boger,
like that?
yeah.
He saw
He's
me at Jim
terrific.
Arcero's party.
Yeah.
He said to say hello to you all
Yeah.
because he watched that debate
Yeah.
of my show from the internet. Anyway, he's a great guy.
Yeah,
he
he
was
is a
so
great guy.
Yeah.
such
Very
a nice guy. Do you know
Yeah.
him?
I do
Matt?
not.
Oh, he made up. But he's in Concord.
Yeah.
I told him we'd
Jimmy
be
doesn't
posting
allow
the
me to
show.
go to his fundraisers.
Oh, I.
And I hope Jimmy Arcero's watching
Yeah.
this later on
Yeah.
because we can razz him a little bit.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah,
I
Jim's a
can't let
good
you
guy.
go to
Huh?
his
No, he called me the day before. He's like, "Oh, I started to tell you. I forgot to tell you." So
Yeah.
I want to give him a hard time about that.
Yeah, right. Well, Jim, I'm planning to have him on my first show in September. So the next show we're having, which will be the day after Labor Day. Oh, in fact, Tom, I'm planning to invite you and Bernie Lynch wants to come on the show again.
We've been on
the
together.
city manager.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I
city
had
manager.
you and Bernie before, and I thought we'd have Jim because he wasn't able to make it tonight. So we already have that lined up.
Wow.
Then my next show after that's going to be the 350th PI show.
Wow.
So that we're going to have a cake and everything. You're welcome to stop by if you want, but you probably won't have time. But 350 of these shows, could you imagine
That's
that?
amazing.
That's a lot.
That's a long
Congratulations.
time.
How many years does that encompass?
A little over 18 years. We're in
Wow.
just celebrate our 18th anniversary. so-
Congratulations.
Yeah, I actually had here then, as I said, when he started, 1995.
But you look marvelous.
Yeah, right, right.
You look
Billy
distinguished.
Crystal's
you
there.
No apologies you have to make.
Oh, thank you. No, I don't. No, I've been shaving it closely myself because when you have a little bit left, don't do comb overs. I don't think that's,
Trump with all of his money,
I
he
know.
just
He gets-
he looks like an orangutan.
Yeah.
Watch, I'm going to get a lot of mail from orangutans.
Yeah.
But, I keep looking at the picture saying, what is he doing?
I don't know.
I don't know. Hairlines and waistlines. We don't talk about them.
We don't, well, we have fun with them though, anyway. But another topic that Tom Golden may be familiar with has to do with methadone clinics here in Chelmsford. And as the people at home
In
may...
Chelmsford or in Lowell?
It's
in
on
Lowell,
Stedman Street.
But
which-
on Stedman Street, so right over the Chelmsford border, you're
Okay.
correct. In Lowell, they're planning to put a methadone
Let me try to give you
clinic in there.
a quick rundown. What basically had happened is there was a methadone clinic over by La Latcha Ballpark, which some will say is downtown Lowell, very close. The folks over there decided to raise the rent,
Yeah.
and now these folks needed to find a new place to live.
Yeah,
Okay. To have operate. Thank you. So they are looking at industrialized zones, which Stedman Street in that section with the dump right behind it, and obviously all the industrialized area that's it's in that area. That's one particular location that they're looking at. Yeah. Now I know that the Board of Appeals is looking at it, and they're making a decision as to whether it can actually be there.
Yeah.
But a lot of concerns have been brought up.
Yes.
One, there's no public transportation in the area.
Yeah.
Okay. Two, the sidewalks are pretty much non-existent
Yes.
in that area. If you drive up and down Stedman Street, you would see that. So that's one of the public safety concerns is great in that area. And I know that that's what the board is looking at, whether to approve or disapprove the application.
Yes.
I do know that they're looking in other areas as well to see if it could be over in other industrialized areas of the city.
What about in the center of Lowell, where these people going to the methadone clinic can get there more readily? I think there's plenty of transportation. Many of them could just walk there.
You'd be shocked that most people, they drive in.
Okay, they drive in.
They
also.
drive in. Or they drive in and dropped off and things of that nature.
Really?
But yeah.
Because Harriet Stanley used to go bonkers because the state pays for cab fare.
There are some that are dropped off via cab fare. There are definitely
And
folks.
the state pays for it? Well.
There are some folks that are dropped off or walk there.
Yeah.
But if
Wouldn't the center of Lowell, therefore, Tom, be a better place than?
It may be, but they can't find anything down there because,
can't?
well,
The rents would be higher.
I mean, the downtown area has changed dramatically, and the rents in the area have gone up dramatically. But actually, I would think that with the people driving there, it's a lot more difficult to get into the downtown.
Right,
You know?
understand.
So I think that's why they're looking for closer highway access. Because you wouldn't know this, and you know, I only know this because people are telling me this, that you have a lot of folks, quite frankly, from New Hampshire that are driving in.
Oh, is this the closest one? Would
I
be
don't
in
know. You know,
Lowell?
I'm not big
yeah.
on, you know, methadone. I think I think a whole bunch of things. I think it maybe should be more in a hospitalized setting, but that's you know, that's a decision or a discussion for another day. But I really, honestly, looking at the problems and the issues that are there with the sidewalks, with the transportation, public transit, I don't see, and I'm not speaking for the board. I don't see how they can approve it. I see it as a public safety hazard issue. But I think they have to be careful as well. Protected class, protected area. I think they have a lot on their plate. But I don't think it's going to happen. But that, me saying that as a state rep, it doesn't mean anything. But
And our Board of Selectmen, as you know, Tom, they've just come up with a letter at their selectmen meeting last night, and I have a copy of it here. And so they're
absolutely
opposed to it, and they're going to be, this went to the Board of Appeals in Lowell. I guess they're going to have a meeting
On the
coming up in
30th.
about a week or something. And the representatives of our Board of Selectmen will be there. About 3 of them will be there.
And I have to say that
And
Janet
talking-
Askenberg was on the phone, Matt Han. I mean, I'm talking to everybody, you know. George Dixon, so many folks from the neighborhood have called me. I represent the Westlands. They're all private citizens, so but I could tick off 15 people from private citizens that have called saying we're very concerned. The concerns we have, you know, obviously the school down the street. Is this going to increase traffic that's undesirable to us? You know, the Westlands has gone through a lot of that when Route 3 was being redeveloped. And you know, is this going to increase? There's 600 patients now. This is what I'm hearing. Approximately 500 to 600 patients a day.
A day?
That's
huge.
That's a lot of people. I mean, now that's something I heard. It sounds reasonable because I hear there's always a traffic jam over where it is right now, over by the park.
Oh my God.
So. You know, if I had my druthers, it's not going to be on Stedman Street, but I don't have a vote from Board of Appeals. And I think people need to be very careful about that.
But
if you look at transportation, you look at the public safety of no sidewalks, I think that's what I would personally say is the problem with that location.
Thank you, Tom. Any other comments on that before we move on to the fire chief issue? There's a question, I think, it's mostly before the State House, I think, Mike, that we have a wonderful fire chief who is 65 years old now, and this is public knowledge, Mike Curran. And so he was scheduled to retire at 65, but we apparently didn't want to do a search right now because we're building a new fire station in Chelmsford. We thought it'd be great if Mike Curran could be here during the transition from the old station to the new station on Billerica Road in Chelmsford. So we plan to extend Michael Curran's contract for 2 years. That was passed at the local level, and it's my understanding now that it is before the State House.
Yeah, it is.
And we need the approval of the State House somehow.
Yeah,
for
I'm carrying that.
Oh, are you? Oh, yeah.
Yes, I am.
So what's going on
Well,
with
I just was, it finally had a hearing last week.
Oh, yeah.
That was the first hearing out of that committee, which was late in the season. So it had a hearing because we couldn't do anything with it till it was heard in the hearing. And so I brought it to the speaker's attention yesterday when I was meeting with him, and I said, this really needs to be fast-tracked because it's date sensitive. And the reasons in the letter were not only from the town, were not only the transition to the new firehouse, but also that you don't have the depth of experience within the force now. So promoting from within isn't possible at this point. They're hoping it within 2 years there will be candidates from which to choose, from whom to choose. So that's, that's why we're, but some of these bills that have to go through us just seem, to me, that's a vote of the selectmen. I don't know why.
I agree, Cory.
I think all of us, I'm going to be supporting that bill as well, the home rule bill.
Yeah.
It seems, but to Cory's point, it would be nice if there were a home rule aspect that didn't require our changing the civil service statutes or the, is it retirement at 65 looms as a potential issue?
Yes, but I mean, how many people can retire now at 65? I mean,
I think we're going to have to alter all those statutes.
I think
move
by
them up to
about 7 years at least,
Yeah.
because of what people lost during the Great. It's not even that. Plus, you're more youthful and healthier now.
We hope so.
But
yes,
can you
we hope
imagine
so.
being pushed out of?
Yeah. Not to mention wiser.
Right.
Right,
I
right.
mean,
yes.
but can you imagine being
experience.
pushed out of your profession at 65?
I think they always looked at the physical capabilities, and they, where I think the chief would be more.
Oh
of a
yeah, I can
management.
see. All right, I
Yeah,
can see.
yeah.
I can. I
More
can
of a management
Yeah,
side.
I can see in certain professions.
So maybe
where-
if it's a physical thing, but once again, I'm not suggesting this chief or any other chief wouldn't pick up a hose when necessary to make
Oh, yes.
to save somebody and make
Right.
something happen.
Yeah.
But I think originally when this was put into play at 65, it had to do with what they considered
Physical nature.
the
Physical nature of the
physical
job.
nature of the job. But I mean, I agree with you. I think I don't know anyone that retires
retires
anymore.
at 65.
I don't know anyone that retires anymore. I mean,
He's got
you
the
know.
point. I
Yeah.
don't know anybody that retires.
I mean, my
anymore.
mother's.
You can't.
I'm not going to say how.
can't
I'm not
afford
going to say
it.
how old she is because
Yeah,
she'd,
she'll kill you.
But she's back to work just because she,
Right.
Yeah.
she's like, I had to do something. She works down the senior center answering
Oh,
phones.
nice,
So,
wonderful.
but I mean, I don't think anyone retires anymore.
Yeah, yeah,
So
It's both.
So-
It's both the function of everybody being vigorous,
yeah,
and then not being able to afford it.
Right.
yeah.
yeah,
It's
that's a
both.
good point.
Yeah, the life expectancy generally goes up, especially in this area. It's about 80 for men and women in the Middlesex County. A
Right.
little bit more for women than men, but
So that
It's,
would be 15 years that you had a plan to support yourself.
yeah.
I'm hoping 94 or 95 personally. I
Well,
just-
that's
Yeah, right.
a lot of years.
He's
So
gunning
you-
for that.
Oh, yeah, I
You're not
know.
going to be able to.
I'm
retire.
gunning
Oh,
for
it's very
95.
possible, very possible. But speaking of gunning, a lot of people gun cars on 495, and we have a little concern on Route 495 here in Chelmsford in the sense that we have a rest area
Yes, you do.
on 495 North that has been closed for a few years now, and there's a number of porta potties out there, and you know how those are. Those aren't sanitary. It's a big mess, and that doesn't present a good picture to our state, right? To those coming through, or even our state residents. Just, it's not a great service.
Right.
I don't see why it wouldn't cost about the same to open the facility and get rid, because we pay for those porta potties, I'm sure.
Well, it
Does
will
anybody
cost
know-
$50,000 to renovate it, because what happened when
The
they shut
building?
it down? Yes.
Okay,
When they shut
$50,000.
it down 2 years ago because of budget cuts.
Yeah.
No, people didn't turn off the water. They didn't flush
Well,
out
the
the
pipes
pipes.
broke,
So the
mold.
pipes
Oh,
burst,
the
and now
pipes
there's
burst.
mold, and so that's what
Okay.
it would cost.
Yeah.
That's the bad news. The good news is both the Senate and the House have put in the money for visitor centers, information centers,
Yeah.
to open and stay open this season, because we were having trouble getting those funds.
Yeah.
But Deb Belanger out of Lowell,
Convention visitor.
the convention visitor,
Merrimack Valley.
yeah.
Yeah.
I know this because so.
I do this just on the tip of my tongue. Is working with Nikki Songas's office, the Congresswoman's office, to try to get funds for the renovation.
Great.
And as I understand it, and that's one of the things that's the holdup is the condition of the building itself.
The condition of the building, but there's
Yeah.
also the other, as full disclosure, I'm actually on the board, the Merrimack Valley Convention Business Bureau, which everything from Lowell to Lexington. What we try to do is we try to increase tourism. That's why I know the line item so well, and exactly what Cory's been doing, and I know how hard she's been working on it.
Yes.
So what our job is, and I bring up larger things like curling, when the World Curling Association came to Lowell and flooded the area with room nights.
Yeah.
Okay, that's something that the Convention and Visitors Bureau does.
Yes.
Every year.
Tell them how much money we get from this.
Oh.
We give these guys $1 out of state money. They give us back $5.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
5
Yeah.
bucks.
Wow.
I wish they were a company.
That's why I'm so,
Yeah.
when people
I mean, this
start
is why I
talking
love
about,
this community.
Yes,
when
yeah.
people start talking about tourism years ago, it was, it's just tourism.
Yeah,
they
that's
didn't
fine.
realize it was the third
And the
largest
arts.
industry
Yeah.
in tourism and the arts.
yeah.
Third largest
Third
industry.
largest,
Yes.
yeah, we have what,
Third largest
Lexington,
revenue produ-
Concord,
yeah,
all
yeah,
these.
oh,
Well, that's
yeah.
all the
The
stuff.
Lowell Mills, the
Yeah.
National Park.
I say from Lowell to Lexington because it just rolls so nicely.
Oh, yeah.
But that's
Lexington.
the great.
But there's
the
a
great
continuum
Merrimack.
there.
Absolutely,
It's fantastic.
It's all history.
Yeah.
Right.
But getting back to the 495 issue is when you run that, when you have it up and running, you can imagine how many times the toilet's flushed, how many times the water's turned on, how many
Yes.
lights. You need more than one person out there pretty much at all times. It
Oh,
needs to
do
be
you?
two.
Oh.
Well, there needs to be 2 people. It's
okay.
a safety concern.
Yeah.
And you're really limited as to what you can do out there as far as sell coffee
Yeah,
or
that's
anything
what we're
like
trying.
that.
I was just going to say, I
The Mc-
misspoke. That's what we're trying to get
What-
through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why are we limited, Tom?
Because that section of
Federal law?
495 was built with money from the federal government.
Federal. That's what
Okay,
we're working
yeah.
with.
And under the McKinley law, which is decades ago, they really want people to get off the highways to use the towns.
Okay, yeah.
Now, I've talked to Paul Cohen about this on a number of occasions. All the selectmen are on board with this. They have enough problems traffic-wise that they would say, gee, we like the business, don't get me wrong, but we have a lot of traffic problems. We can't just put a Dunkin' Donuts in there.
Yeah.
We just can't put an Arby's or whatever it would be because the federal government prohibits us from doing it. And the reason that they prohibit it is because apparently, Western United States, that's very popular. Towns fail when the big corporations write off the highway or build their own ramps. In these other towns, which are cut-throughs, which you would go in, rest
To get a
area,
sandwich
get
or
a sandwich or something like
gas
that.
or-
It is a real economic. It kills a town.
Oh,
So we're getting tied up right now with what is so important out west that makes a lot of sense, but it makes no sense on 495.
Yeah, yeah.
So what we're asking them to do is to take a peek and to try to form an exception,
Yeah.
because we can't survive without selling coffee, selling donuts or whatever.
Or just
from-
some little
Well,
thing,
and
yeah.
one of the things that we want to do in these visitor centers, not just the one in Chelmsford, but all over the state, and we also want to do it at the gift shop at the State House, is bringing goods and products from around the state
Right.
to promote,
Yeah.
Areas, so that people will
Yes.
say, oh, whether it's, I'm not sure they can do
Cranberries
food,
or
cranberries
whatever,
or apples during the season or things like that.
Yes.
Farmers
But
market.
what we're
Yeah.
trying to do is
Yeah.
promote, every single way we can.
Yeah.
Products and places.
Yes.
And
And
so we're trying
kind
to
of
do
tied.
that.
Truthfully,
We're tied by federal.
we're tied by the federal
But
law.
Nikki, do I understand, Nikki
Yes.
Songus
Yes,
is working on that?
and that's what I meant to say.
So-
I misspoke earlier when I said she's working on funding for the repairs.
Okay.
That's not her issue. That's not her domain. That's ours. But this is what she's working on is trying to open these,
Loophole, if you would,
you know,
or get a
open this
loophole.
loophole so that we can use products
Sure.
to marketplaces.
Yeah.
Now, just had an apple off the Johnny Appleseed Trail. Let's get off in Leominster and off of Route 2 in Leominster and, let's go see what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so it would give people a chance to
Experience
really,
it,
to really market and
Wonderful.
get.
But
So,
it's gonna
so the
continue to be
state
a
is
problem.
working on some of it, and Nikki Songus
The federal
at the
government.
federal
yes.
level is
Yeah.
working on some
Yeah.
of it. And hopefully, in a year or two, it'll
I-
be
Well,
open again, or
well,
I mean, we're hoping
We don't-
sooner.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking 365.
those porta potties are terrible. I
Yeah.
hate those things.
Yeah, we're
but-
gonna
And
have
I
to-
don't use this one in particular, but
Right.
I just feel bad for
do
anybody,
I.
say
Yeah, I
a
do
little
too.
kid or whatever, and they just have to use that, and
But you have to think there is a cost to having something open 365 days a year.
Yeah.
yes, but what is the
you know.
cost we're paying now for these 7 or 9 porta potties that are there?
I don't know.
Something, we don't
Yeah.
know, but it's something.
But
to
to run
empty
the
them out of it.
to run the actual building itself.
Yeah.
Because
is-
everything we
is
do
a
is
lot.
labor intensive because it's two
Well,
people.
one good
yeah.
thing, we want more jobs. I mean, at least it'd be another job
Yeah.
or two
Right.
created.
Right.
But 3 shifts, that's maybe 2,
Well, they usually
6.
we usually closed at 10 o'clock.
Oh,
when
okay,
we were
so
running
maybe
it.
4 jobs or
Sure.
whatever, but
Oh,
anyway.
we unfortunately we laid off 12 people. We laid
what
off
department?
when the
7 days
convention
a week.
when the Convention and Visitors Bureau was operating it. And we, the state, they started cutting back.
12 people.
Yeah, Mass Highway. Mass
Yeah,
Highway
that's
started
too
cutting
bad.
back on what they were
And
doing, the
actually,
deficit.
that's what they say, in all the economic reports. The private sector is coming back in terms of employment. The public sector
Right.
isn't.
Yeah.
Public sector really took a hit.
Yes.
And we haven't really done the calculations necessary. I'm not sure that Micah has a chance, actually, because the cuts we've made in human services, do we know what happened when we made those cuts?
Well, we certainly know anecdotally, right? Because every state office you go into is underfunded, and it creates citizen complaints, by the way. But when we turn around in an attempt to problem solve, what we're finding is that everyone now truly is, after 5 years of cuts, understaffed.
Right.
So that you cannot we know that the Registry of Motor Vehicles is a headache because we've cut relentlessly at the registry. We've closed regional offices. It's happened also with welfare offices. There are 22 left around the state of Massachusetts, which means, and it's typically as a young woman with a child, has to travel multiple towns. I hope she has a car, even to get a renewal or to file for benefits.
Really?
So we have balanced the budget every year. We're not like the feds. We don't do it on the sly. We don't borrow. We don't go into deficit. But we are at the point where citizens are noticing that everywhere they turn, they're not able to get a quick response.
Yes.
We're going to have to start just building up the quiet, basic infrastructure
Yeah.
of government, the boring stuff,
Yeah.
just in order to make sure that people who need benefits or need help or have a question can
Yeah.
get them answered.
Yes.
One of the biggest phone calls I think our office gets is on unemployment insurance.
Oh, what
With
about
the,
it, Tom?
with the folks that become unemployed, they try to contact unemployment insurance.
Yeah, and what happens?
And
They
it's-
can't.
they're on a waiting list.
There's
It's just
nobody
so-
to answer the phone.
Nobody answered the phone?
Because they had a lot of cuts.
Well,
Well,
try
let's
to
take care of
try
that.
to take a driver's test.
Sure.
If you're a young person,
one.
What do you mean?
Driver's
They have to wait for
you
that
take
too? Willem?
you
sure.
take driver's ed. Try to actually line up an exam in order to get your license. That can take
Sure.
weeks
Well,
and weeks and weeks.
maybe
Yeah.
these are areas we could work in hiring some people.
Well, we-
Well,
right?
the thing
now
of it
that
is,
the-
though,
the
you
economy's
need
coming
need
back.
money to do that.
Yes.
So
But
people don't
isn't-
know that we made these cuts and balanced these
Right.
budgets.
Right.
But there was a huge price.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Huge price.
Yes.
All these jobs, and with these jobs went the service that the Commonwealth
They were providing,
provided.
Yes.
So because that's all the Commonwealth has,
I mean,
train
these
people
are
to provide.
these tax issues, these revenue commitments are always delicate. Nobody likes to pay more in taxes.
Yeah.
The truth is, we do have to rebuild some of the staffing stuff. The governor focuses on transportation, critical to Chelmsford and to Greater Lowell.
Right.
And he's right. It's the roads, it's the bridges, it's the regional transit authorities, the bus service in the city. We've got to, and it's the commuter service down to Boston. We do have to start to invest or spend,
Yes.
and it does take bucks.
I would think.
Yeah.
It does.
Well,
And we've got to
we-
repair those
there's a-
restroom facilities.
Right, we
that
do.
takes money too.
we do. I think it'd be nice and get these people so they can get their unemployment benefits, so somebody could answer the phone, so they could take the
Driver's
driver's
test.
And
test.
Tom, that's no knock at the folks at unemployment insurance. And
No,
it's
no,
no
no.
knock at the
People
R&D.
that
No,
are
we
there
just
are
need to
trying
They're
keep
to-
just-
Right, they're
you know.
overwhelmed.
And I'd
They're
say let's
overwhelmed.
hire
Yeah,
them
thank
if we
you for
need
saying
them.
that,
Yeah, that is no knock
If
on
we're
state
understand-
employees.
I think the economy, as we know, it is coming back to some extent. It's not where we'd like it, but it's getting there. The real estate, as you know, you're still a realtor, right? Jeff?
Yes,
It's
yep.
coming back nicely, right? That brings in
It
revenues.
is. It's
So,
slow, but it is. I mean,
But-
I think that a lot of the monies that we've seen come in through the first 5 months might have to do with tax policy. You know, that was
yeah.
happening on the federal government side.
yes.
On the 8,000.
Yeah. So I think a lot of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we still have to. I think we're in the right direction. We're going in the right direction.
Yes,
I just
oh,
don't know
yeah.
how quickly. I think of what Cory was just saying in 1999 and 2000, and I mean,
Right.
nothing
We're
could
not
go
gonna see that
wrong.
again, I don't
You
think.
know,
The internet was going to save us.
It was going to save us, right?
That's right.
yeah,
AOL,
we know-
American Online.
Yeah, but it was
Yeah,
even in
AOL,
I mean,
yeah.
when you think back, it was 96 and it was 97. Things were prosperous.
Oh,
and
very,
Then we
yeah.
blipped out around 98, and then 99 and 2000, and we were
Yeah.
steaming
Oh, yeah.
forward. And
201 until 9/11.
9/11.
Well,
So
from
9/11,
2000 to 2002, the NASDAQ, which is a lot of high-tech firms, went down 78%. That is almost 80%, or 4/5 in just 2 years.
Sure.
The S&P 500, which is just about the entire market, went down 50%. So that's how huge that downturn was.
I hope
then.
you were buying.
Well, it was a tough period, but anyway, it's
But
great.
even now, I mean, the Dow is just broke 15, correct?
Yeah, it's doing much
The Dow
better
just
now.
broke 15,000, I think.
Yeah, so the market
confidence
has
is coming
doubled
back.
since President Obama's been in office. Not to give him all the credit.
No,
for
no,
it.
let's give him
Okay.
some credit. He
But
deserves
the
some
market has
credit.
come
I think it was
back
the House.
and doubled.
I
the
think it was
State House.
tourism committee.
I think it was
I said
tourism.
But since
I
he
think it was
took
the chairwoman
office,
of tourism
the
is what I
stock
think.
market, basically went up over 100%. So it's been amazing. But that's Ben Bernanke, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, had a lot to do with it, with all the money that's being pumped into the economy to help us get it going again.
Well, think
And
of
God
borrowing
knows-
money right now at 3% if you're buying a home.
Yeah.
3.5%.
And
Still
this is
a good
where
time
a
to be in
shout
the
out for
market, right?
Elizabeth Warren is due.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't want college kids paying any more for their loans than what business pays.
Yes.
And boy, it was about time.
Yes.
For kids paying on their college loans,
Yeah, that's a
7
good
plus
point.
It's
point
ridiculous,
percent.
yeah.
I thought, if there was
She's
one reason,
absolutely
if there was
right.
that, and
Yeah.
she'd take on those thieves down on Wall Street.
Yep, she has.
I would carry her on my shoulders. To
She's
get it
doing a
done.
great job,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, I mean, she's
Yeah.
really standing up for what's right, I
Right.
believe, and for the middle class people in the world, and everybody
Yeah.
against the fat cats who just
Right.
corrupted everything, and not one of them went to jail.
No, and they're sitting in their
I hate to
millions
say it
and
for all the
millions
corrupt
and,
things, but anyway, but we only have a
Yeah.
few minutes left, but let's talk a little bit about politics for a few minutes now. We have a big Senate race coming, June 25th, Markey versus Gomez. What do you guys think? I know you're all Democrats, so apologies
we
for
are-
those at home, but
Well, I mean,
What do you
I
think
do.
about-
I'll tell you honestly. I like Ed Markey's connection to the Merrimack Valley, just in terms of pure self-interest. His parents, he grew up in Lawrence, so he's got a connection to here, and just in terms of selfish things, I like that. He won't forget about us.
no, I don't think so.
So I'm a
Yeah,
Markey
you are.
guy,
Yeah.
purely on geographic
Yeah.
reasons.
Yeah.
Not,
Yeah.
He's ahead in the polls now.
Yeah,
Not
he's-
that
yeah,
means anything,
right.
but
Well, plus, I love these people that just sort of get up one day and start to run for U.S. Senate. That's an incredible position.
it is. You're
and
right.
one of the things that I and I've known Ed Markey for, I don't know, about 40 years. He still has hair.
Yeah, right. He's lucky.
He is lucky, but he really has. He has slugged his way through
He's
a
worked
lot
many years
of really
for
hard issues,
and
he
working.
knows what it takes to get it done. I mean,
Yeah.
if people had told me that it was going to take me 10 years to get certain things done at the beginning of it, I don't know if I would have, had the tenacity.
And
but-
the environment,
drive.
right? Wasn't
It
he big with
does.
environmental
Oh,
issues
he
and
is
solar
terrific.
power and all that?
this crazy weather. I mean,
Telecommunications.
we're sitting
Yeah.
here tonight,
Yeah.
the day after Oklahoma.
Yeah.
After a mile-wide tornado hit Oklahoma, there's something wrong with the weather.
Yeah.
And I gotta, I do gotta give Markey credit. He was there when no one else was talking
Yes.
about
Right.
climate change
Right.
and global warming. Talk about a little bit of foresight.
Yes.
Now we really need some
And
help.
guts.
Yes.
and
Climate
guts.
And he
change. Yes.
seems to know that question well.
Yes.
I think it's I just met Ed Markey not too long ago. I was actually with Stevie Lynch, who's a friend of mine. We actually went into the House together.
Yeah, together.
That's where we were together.
Oh,
and
wow.
I say to Steve all the time, we House of Representatives together. He left, went into the Senate, and is now a U.S. Congressman. I'm like, Lynchy, what happened? In the House. But in all honesty, I spoke with Ed. I don't see this truthfully as a race. I'm sure Mr. Gomez is a nice person.
Yeah.
But as Cory just said, he's waking up. He's running for a U.S. Senate. I don't even see where I think it's going to be a big win for Ed Markey.
Yeah.
I hope so.
And how about the
Because you
governor-
know something? I mean, a lot of the people up here voted for, say, Scott Brown. And I don't think Scott Brown's going to translate into an Ed Markey
No.
at all.
And Gomez.
You mean?
Sorry.
Gomez,
Scott Brown's going to transfer into a Gomez.
Yes,
That's just
yeah.
how I see the political landscape.
Oh
and
yeah, I agree. Well, how about the governor's race? I guess at 2014.
Yeah.
Deval Patrick will not be running again. I don't know where he'll be going then, but we have I think our wonderful state treasurer Steve Grossman, who's been on the show. I think going to be running for governor.
Yeah, he's my favorite.
And I think he's a great guy. I was so impressed with him when he was on the show and elsewhere with what he's doing, the visibility, all the checks. You could see them online, the state checks. What are your thoughts? Who else might be running, and what are your thoughts?
I think Michael Capuano is a possibility.
Yeah, that's
There'll be
Oh, he's a
actually an
good guy,
interesting
too,
guy from my branch, Dan Wolf.
Dan Wolf.
He's currently
That's
the
right.
state senator down the Cape.
Down the Cape, right?
He's
Has a
CEO of an
committee?
airline, Cape Air, and as long as they don't fly into Hanscom, I'm impressed with his business acumen. Yeah. So there's going to be a lively set of choices on the Democratic side.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we can have a debate maybe on this show. I don't know, but
yes,
it might be. We might, but I remember having a debate with Martha Coakley back in like 1998 when she was running for district attorney with 2 other people. And I'm very impressed with Martha Coakley, by the way. I'd love to see her run for governor or U.S. Senate again. Yeah. I just think it was a fluke what happened before, but we don't have time to get into all of that. Right. But I'm very impressed with Martha Coakley and standing up for what's right.
Right.
And in Coakley, many areas. She's talked about as a potential gubernatorial candidate too. At least she was mentioned by someone to me today.
Well, I hope so.
So she may not be out of the state.
I think you're definitely going to have, on the Democratic side, you're going to have 4 or 5 quality candidates.
Yeah. How about the Republican side? I haven't heard of.
The only person I've heard is Charlie Baker.
Oh, he might be coming.
I mean,
again.
but that's once again, that's in the.
He ran a few years ago, wasn't it for governor?
Yeah, he ran against DeVal Patrick.
Oh. I mean, I heard.
But I haven't. Have you heard about it seriously or just?
No, the only 2 when we start talking spitfiring about names, you hear Charlie Baker. I mean.
Yeah, there isn't anybody else naturally coming up through the ranks, is there?
How about
the Gomez, though? People say this is
maybe it's a springboard for him.
That's what I've heard.
How about
this is just
Scott Brown?
You could see a Scott Brown
maybe
too.
He might.
I can't see a Scott Brown administering and doing that kind of managerial. Not from our experience of Scott Brown in the legislature.
I just don't know, but
I
think it's going to be interesting to see who, if the Republicans choose.
We only, I'm sorry, to run.
Who
but we only have a few minutes left, and a lot's been happening with President Obama lately. I wondered if you could have any thoughts about how you think President Obama's doing, any thoughts about these recent so-called scandals, which I don't put much weight in.
Well, I will tell you, I'm going out on a limb, but I think it's time I said something unpopular here. You know, I really wonder whether the IRS thing is going to turn around. We're going to be looking at it differently in 2 weeks. I don't like what I've heard so far, but I'm also steamed at all these groups that have formed up and are clearly engaged in politics under the guise of being nonprofits.
Right.
I don't want to see the taxpayer lose money, and that's what we get when all these characters get to spend their dough and keep their contributors secret. I could almost see that issue doing a 180 and suddenly people saying, hey, who's kidding who? We know these organizations exist to do politics, and they're charities.
Oh, I agree. It was just
so
on
maybe
the news.
I never knew that Cincinnati was a hotbed of lefty, anti-conservative politics. I think these people in Cincinnati.
But they said they did it across the board, too.
Yes,
And I can
they
see
may have been doing their
I mean, if
their
I worked
jobs.
at the IRS, that would be my shaded eye.
Right.
Are these guys really charities, you know?
Or were they political organizations?
Well, you say Tea
which is
Party,
what they
you don't
were.
think of a charity.
And that's all it was. It was an innocent thing. It wasn't because they were conservative per se, but because political.
I'm not so sure that it's all innocence, you know, because I've seen too much of the human race over my life. But having said that, I would say that if I were there, and I'm a Democrat, and I would try to be as fair as I could if I were working at the IRS. But if I saw any group coming in Tea Party, which is known for, I love the fact that they don't like government and they want to see less of it, but they don't want to pay. They want to be a charity.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I mean, it's a little bit like today's newspaper. Apple suddenly doesn't have to pay any taxes. Now all these political groups have figured out a way to refile as charities. Those people in the IRS may not have had that bad an idea.
Well, it was a great idea when I invited you 3 on the show tonight. Thank you so much for being here, Tom Golden, again.
Tom, thank you very much again for always inviting me.
Thank you. The last show before our summer break. Thank you, Cory Atkins.
Delighted.
Wonderful. And 13th was good luck, right? It was a good show. Thank you very much, Mike
All the
Barrett.
way up to 4.
Already finished the 4th show.
The young kid over
And hopefully it'll be hundreds more before the time is up.
The new kid on the block.
Thank you for this wonderful camera crew, George and Larry and Azora and our director, Pete Berdula. And I hope to see you all at the 4th of July parade. Look for us all either marching or watching the parade. I'll be marching with the Board of Library Trustees
so
this
not by
year.
the church.
In
the shade.
Yeah, and also
I'm with him eating a hot dog.
I hope you all have a great summer, and I'll see you all around town during the summer. We also have a coffee coming up this Thursday at the Western Nurseries, May 23rd, 8 to 10 a.m. It's free. Stop by. Thank you very much. Ciao.